Closure is such a setup. People will turn a story in a heartbeat. You need answers from 2 years ago? Some of you just need to work on your maturity. You don't get to decide that you're gonna burn up the world because somebody wronged you. Bitch, we all been wrong. Friend, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on in your life? What's popping? What's tea? Welcome back to another episode of the Hey Friends with Layla Elise podcast. And we're down here, girl. Hopefully y'all had a good week. Happy Friday, okay? Today I am low-key kind of tired. I did not really feel like recording today, but we're here. We're not going to be here too long because I kind of want to start doing shorter episodes so I can get up multiple videos for y'all. So also, like I said, I just didn't feel like recording today, so I just want to talk about something really quickly. But before we get into today's topic, why are you not subscribed, friend? Like, for real, you need to be subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on your bell for notifications, because like I said, I might be posting more than one video a week, or I might be posting or going live. You never know. So you got to have your bell on so you never miss me. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel and make sure you're following the podcast. That is the Hey Friends with Layla Elise podcast on Apple and Spotify. Now we got that out the way. Like I said, today's lip combo will be in the description, but I'm wearing a NYX lip liner. Cannot remember the liner name, but I'm wearing a NYX butter gloss and then a Fenty on top, and that will be in the description. For today's drink, y'all, not even gonna lie, I just made up something. We don't really have that much in our cabinetry, so yeah, I was kind of like just making up shit. So today's drink is like a sour watermelon pucker, I'm gonna call it, something like that. But I didn't juice the watermelon, but while I was cutting the watermelon, I was just kind of putting the juice off to the side, if that makes sense. But you could juice your watermelon or blend it, same thing. So I just have about, 6 ounces of watermelon juice, a juiced lime, and then tequila, and then also sour apple liqueur. And I mix that up, and I have today's drink. I kind of have sipped on it a little bit because I tried it, and it's a little strong. Yeah. It's strong, y'all, but this is the drink. She's super cute. Cheers to being here, okay? Nothing else but cheers to being here. Amen. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I really just did that. Like, okay, so anyway, child, oof. Today, I actually asked for y'all's help to help me with the topic, because I really did not know what I wanted to talk about. I just had a couple things on my mind, and y'all wanted to hear about today's topic, which I'm going to title this, You Don't Need Closure, because I don't know who made up that lie that, like, you need closure, or like in order for a relationship to end, or in order for you to move on, you need closure. Like, let's talk about it. I want to ask a question of, like, why do we feel like we deserve happy endings outside of us deserving good things in life? But like, why do we think we are deserving of happy, quote unquote, perfect endings? Like, if you really think about it, all the things that has ended in your life, or a certain chapter that has ended in your life, most people's chapter endings in real life, you know what I'm saying, is not a happy ending. Like, it's usually something like pretty mundane, if not something that they had no control over, you know what I'm saying, and shit just ended, you know, shit just didn't go as planned, and it is no longer, you know. Our understanding of closure is also different, because fairy tales are like a really big thing in our culture as Americans and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that other cultures don't have mythology and other, fairy tale like stories or what have you. But like a lot of the systems in which govern our country as Americans are very fantasized, if you will. Like even this idea of the American dream is a fantasy. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that it's a mistake that we struggle with closure in a sense, or we feel entitled to it. You also don't have control in closure. And I think that's where we get a little fucked up. It's no shade. Like closure sometimes really is a sense of control, like not just like control in the sense of when you have closure, like the closure we think we deserve, right? When we receive that, we're able to control the narrative of how a certain thing or certain relationship or job or whatever, how that thing ended. And so with having closure, we can decide the role in which the other person or the other environment played, and then the narrative in which we want to run with. And so sometimes we are not deserving of closure, right? Like sometimes we were the villain in someone else's story and they're not giving us, like they're withholding closure from us. And sometimes it's the opposite. We are the ones, withholding closure from people that are thinking that they are deserving from it from us, or deserving of it from us. And I think that's what I'm also mean in the sense of you can't control the role in which you will play in that scenario of the person giving said closure or the one receiving it. And I think we also have a problem with that, is that we want to be the person in control. And I also think when it comes to closure, we want to be in control because we don't always like feeling uncomfortable, and feeling uncomfortable in a sense, again, being out of control of not knowing what the other person thinks of us, or not knowing what the other person had thought of the situation or the relationship. And so sometimes we want closure to control our unsettlement, right, with how things ended. And I know for me, I can take or leave closure. It's no shade. Like sometimes I think closure is a necessary thing when it comes to certain kin issues, like, with certain family dynamics. I do think like closure between certain parental relationships, right? Like that can actually be beneficial to redirection. You know what I'm saying? And redevelopment. But even in those case scenarios, like you're not always guaranteed to get closure from your mom, or to get closure from the aunt or the grandmother or grandfather or whomever the family member was that was, using you or abusing you, But I feel like in those dynamics, I can understand why certain people need closure, because especially when you have grown up with certain dynamics and you get to a certain point of maturity, you really do have questions like why, or what was that, or how did that really happen. And so I don't necessarily think it's closure of closing your story, you know what I'm saying, and closing your relationship with the person. But I think it's more so opening up to the possibilities of that person existing outside of you. And particularly when it comes to those family dynamics of, betrayal within, familial relationships, or abuse within familial relationships. I think, it's not necessarily about wanting closure for your situation and closing the chapter that makes sense for your hurt and pain, but more so, I think closure in that regard, you should be aiming towards being understanding or open to that person and their personhood living outside of relationship with you, meaning that you don't have control over that person, meaning that you don't get to control how that person shows up for you. You have to get to a point of acceptance, right? I think when it comes to closure with romantic relationships, it's a scam. It's a scam, because most times in romantic relationships, when it has ended on a negative spot, right, closure is not needed, because typically betrayal is involved, right? Personally, I don't think, like, when you have been betrayed, there is no closure. There is no coming back. I think there can be a level of understanding and possibly forgiveness, but closure, like trying to have a sit down conversation, like, that's another thing. What, like, when y'all be saying closure, what do y'all want to do? Y'all want to have tea and crumpets? Or y'all trying to go, like, I know y'all not having closure conversations over lunch. What? Like, what is closure? Having a phone call with somebody? Going to therapy with somebody? Like, that's when I am saying that you don't have the control over what closure looks like for you. Sometimes closure is somebody literally saying F you. And what you gonna do? Let's talk about it? You're gonna say let's sit down and talk about it after this person just cussed you out? That's all the closure you need. I'm confused, and I'm like, there's only so many times, there's only so many chances that you give somebody else the control over you in the relationship. You know what I'm saying? In the sense that you are putting the ball in their court for every decision of procession in the relationship. You're an agent too. You have your own choices. You're in this too, and you can say no. Like, what? Or matter of fact, why don't you give them the closure that you want? Cuss them out, tell them the truth about how they made you feel, and why don't you move on, right? But no, you want to be told by somebody else. That's what I can't. No. And it's not even about someone else having a one up, but it's just the simple fact that you're not about to keep treating me like a piece of shit. And I'm not about to keep putting the ball in your court to do that. Absolutely not. I am a person that can take or leave closure, is because closure also sometimes can set you back, in the sense that when you are receiving closure, a lot of the times, because you want to make sure, right, that you have the control of the narrative, or that you are still showing up as a person of power in this relationship, even though someone is telling you off, is that when you are receiving closure, you start rehashing stuff, and you start rehashing past hurts, past pains, you know what I'm saying, past disappointments, and you start getting heated again. So are we here for rehabilitation, or are we here to rehash? I'm confused, right? Closure will set you back more than just letting it go will. You sitting up here trying to have a closure conversation, and here y'all go arguing about basically who did who wrong and who was right. Bitch, we're gonna be here all night. Like, we'll never get to a close, literally. And now, like, what? I don't know. And that's the thing. Y'all don't understand how manipulative people are, right? And, like, people will turn a story in a heartbeat to make themselves the hero and you the villain, or to make you feel responsible for what happened, right? And you start second guessing, like, no, this tried me first. What? Or that was a response to things that you did on multiple occasions. And that's when I think closure starts becoming self-deprecating, because then you also start overthinking everything that you did, everything that you quote unquote did wrong, or everything that you withheld from that person, just what I'm saying, past disappointments and etc., that you really should have brought up in the moment and when it first irritated you, but you let it go. It wasn't until you got betrayed again, keyword again, that then you wanted to have some closure so you could tell them and rehash the old that they did? No, you should have spoke about that the first time. And matter of fact, you should have left then, or you should have said no then, or you know what I'm saying? I think people who really want closure are people that don't have boundaries, and people that really want closure are also people that have trouble speaking up for themselves, I think. Because if you have been in a relationship or in an environment that you have set yourself up to be a person to communicate, right, and to like actually be open about what bothers you and what hurts you, when you are somebody that does not care about what other people think, you are able to be honest about that, right, and like actually live in that space of identifying and naming how someone has hurt you, addressing it, and actually coming to a place of resolve. When you do that on a regular occasion, and let's say someone actually does wrong you, because you know that you are someone that can come to the table and be honest about being hurt, and notice that someone else is not doing that same thing, you leave. I know people who leave on the first try. On the first try, literally, of you being tried. There is no second or third. I think people who want closure are people who have let things go on and on and on, that they never got a chance to open their mouths and speak about how that hurt them or speak about how that disappointed them. And then they get to a point where now the person has decided that they no longer want to participate. But now you need answers, because you like, well, wait a minute. I stayed all these times. I stayed down all these times that you did this to me. Bitch, I need answers. No, that's not how they go. No, you have to start speaking things when when it's in the moment, and you notice how other people pick up or the lack thereof. You get what I'm saying? You notice how other people react to that, and you decide on how you proceed. And sometimes that procession is no, goodbye, see you later, right? But you don't wait until the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th time, 3rd time, 4th time. I don't care. Like, you don't wait until after you have been tried and have let go and go and go. Then now you say, wait a minute, I need answers from 2 years ago. What? You need answers from 2 years ago? You need to figure out why this person did this to you, and you do the math and the shit was months ago? Girl, that's why I feel like people who seek closure are typically people that are not used to speaking up on their own on a regular basis, and are not used to exercising their boundaries on a daily basis, because your boundaries would not let you get to the point of having someone else have the power over you to end said relationship or said, you know what I'm saying? Closure is such a setup. And I think if you really continue to put the ball in someone else's court of how they are going to, how the relationship, you know, the agreed upon relationship is going to go, you will continue to keep asking for answers, because the person won't be giving it to you because they have the power. Like, hello? And that's another, to my point, like, is closure about reconciliation? Right? Like, even if you do get closure, whatever that means, you get the phone call, you have the breakfast or the dinner, you know what I'm saying? Y'all have tea and crumpets. I don't know. You get your closure, but does that mean that now we have reconciled? Or does that just mean, okay, now I know this information? Okay, and even with the information, what you gonna do? Right? Like, what is the closure about? Is it really about you wanting answers? Or is it just, again, about you trying to put a pretty bow on top of some mess that you know you shouldn't have been in the first place? I can see closure being something that someone could expect from a long-term relationship, or from, you know, a real bad betrayal, right? Like, because betrayal also implies that you are not expecting the said turn, you know? And so I think closure, don't get me wrong, closure is a normal thing. It's a normal thing to want. It's a normal thing to believe that you deserve. But I don't think that it is a necessity, that it is a requirement, that it is obligatory. That's where you go wrong. Like, that's where y'all get it. That's where y'all get it twisted. Because, are you okay? For real, in the words of Tanika B, are you okay? Why do we feel the need to have someone else's permission to feel good about ourselves, or to feel good about the said situation or relationship? So you need someone else's permission to say that, okay, yes, this was bad, but you're a good person and we're just going to end things. You need somebody else to tell you that? To tell you that you're a good person so things are sweet for you? You need somebody else to tell you that? No. Again, you should be doing that on a regular occurrence. You should know that you're a good person. You don't need somebody to tell you that. Not to end a relationship. What? Maybe to start a relationship. Hello. But to end one? And to end it amicably? Some of you just need to work on your maturity. Hello? You don't need closure. You just need to grow up. I'm sorry. But sometimes you just have to, hey, it didn't work out. It was a bad ending, but I'm moving on. I know I'm not that person. I know that I was driven to a place, right? That I was pulled out of character. You do the reflection, right? Because self-reflection is always important. Now, that is a necessity. You get what I'm saying? That is always important. But we're not sitting here asking someone else for permission to move on. Girl, if you don't put on your big girl panties, and get walking, girl, kick rocks with Birkenstocks, for real, and get moving. Like, you don't need nobody else's permission to tell you that a situation wasn't good for you. You know that because you was in it and you felt it. So you need to hear from somebody else to say it actually really was some up shit. No, you knew that at the time and you know it now. So adding another person's check mark to that box, what is that going to do? Help. Quickly. What is that going to do? It's a scam, y'all. It's really a scam. We don't like to be done wrong, right? Nobody on this earth walks around saying, oh, I want to be betrayed to see how it feels. What? Nobody is walking around saying that they want to feel hurt to see how it feels. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to be done wrong. And again, I understand the desire for closure is normal. But you have to know it's not a necessity. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessary for you to move on and for you to become the person that you want to become. Just do it. Go. Leave. Like, especially as women, we get so hooked up on closure from the men or closure from said opportunities that we were promised and weren't given, and we need answers. Girl, sometimes you just got to say they didn't want me, and say it from a place of they missed out, right? They didn't know what they had. And it's not to say that every person, you make up a storyline for what you want, you know what I'm saying, the real ending to be. Because sometimes, we make endings for things and it's like, bitch, you was dead wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to get to a point where I'm like, no, I was wrong for that. Like, I was wrong for that. But I can say that and also not feel the need to be the person to give said closure, right? Because that's the other side of closure. When you know that you have done someone else wrong and it's like the guilt or the shame or whatever is eating you up, and then now you feel like, well, in order for you to feel at peace about it, you got to talk to the other person. No, because I didn't forget what they said either, or what they did either. You know what I'm saying? And it's not about me not saying I'm sorry. Bitch, I said sorry and sent it to the universe. It's like, hey, if you're not connected to the spirit, I don't know what to tell you, because spirit would have told you that I let it go. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I can identify and be mature enough to say that I was wrong. And when given said opportunity to speak to the person, right? Like when things actually just so happen to work out that we are in the same room or same vicinity. Oh my God. Or, you know what I'm saying? In close proximity in other relationships, when the opportunity comes, because I have already identified that I've been wrong in the case of scenario, I also don't have to be weird about bringing it up. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have to be weird about being around the person. For me, I know that there are people who, they don't want closure, right? Like they don't want reconciliation or amicability with another person, and it's like every time they see them, it's baddies. Like you gotta hold them back. They ready to go. They ready to leave, feeling froggy. And it's just like, just because you didn't receive closure, right? Or just because it didn't end in the way that you felt deserving of, also doesn't mean that you get to get violent. Cause who are you? You punishing me? Girl, bye. Like, get out of here. Who are you? You're not finna put your hands on me. Girl, what? You'll be in the pen before you do that.
Just ruined your career.
Hello? You know what I'm saying? And that's another reason why you can't think that every person is just going to engage with your closure conversation, or it's going to engage with how you're going to approach them for the said closure. Bitch, you sit down, you thinking you finna have a closure amicable conversation. Y'all sitting at the Denny's or the Waffle House, and girl, she ends up flipping your breakfast plate. You got hash browns all in your hair, eggs and ketchup on your lap, bacon on the floor. You was really looking forward to that crispy piece, but no. Said person done flip the shit, and now they ready to fight because they're thinking that you have the audacity to come up in here and think that shit is sweet. Now you embarrassed. But if you just would have let it go, you wouldn't even text the person, you wouldn't even met the person at the place, and you wouldn't have even gotten into it. That's why I'm also like, I don't need closure, because I don't know, after so much time of being away from the said person or said environment, you do not need closure, bruh. You just opening old wounds. And you opening old wounds with a different person. You know what I'm saying? With a different doctor. And you don't even know if they know how to treat that wound. You're literally in a different space with this person. And how even you are approaching the said situation, but how they're going to approach that is not going to be the same. And you think you're talking to your bestie the whole time. This is TT, girl. I'm TT. You know, they think they on that. You know? You gotta let it go. And for those of y'all who think that you gotta fight for some to end, or y'all, you know what I'm saying, you gotta get violent for the relationship to really end so you can be on top, you are really, really weak. Yeah, y'all who gotta fight to make yourself feel better about how someone treated you, you are the weak one. Because you can't fathom being uncomfortable for so long that you gotta put your hands on someone. What? Or you threatening somebody because they did you wrong. If it don't have nothing to do with no money, your children, or your mother, what are we talking about? Talking about meet me here. This whole not on nothing. I'm not on that. I'm on this 911 though. You feel me? And that's why I'm just like, you just gotta be okay being the villain in somebody else's story. Hey, I did a little bit of some I was young, I was dumb, or I wasn't really at a point of emotional consideration, or whatever. And it's not about making an excuse. It's just about understanding and knowing yourself, and just knowing knowing your role that you played, and knowing your role, and that being that it's a role. It does not mean you have full responsibility. Acknowledging that you played a role in something, it's just knowing that you played a role. You played a role, now let's let it go. But I just feel like closure is less about having a conversation, and it's more so about getting to a place of recognizing your own agency and accepting that, right? And like actually accepting that I can live without this person and I don't have to engage. I don't need their approval also to maneuver through this world, right? And like actually taking that agency of I can do whatever I want at this point. When we are not on good terms, I mean, that's not to say I'm finna take it to hell. You never know. But you know what I'm saying? It's not to say automatically that I'm finna take it to hell. It just means that I'm about to utilize my agency and my decision making to say that I don't actually owe you anything. And that's my closure. You know what I'm saying? Even if you were the person that has done someone wrong, if you can come to a point of recognizing how you wronged somebody, you know, and getting to a point of letting that go and acceptance, your closure is I don't have to engage with this person anymore. Period. And if you are on the opposite side, you were wronged and you feel that this person, you know what I'm saying, treated you in a way that you were undeserving of, you can say, hey, this person doesn't get access to me anymore. That's closure. What? I really need y'all to explain to me, like, what, when y'all are wanting closure, what are you expecting? Seriously, like, I don't, what, like, are we really gonna sit down over a seafood boil? Like, I'm trying to, like, we at Chili's and we trying to have a closure conversation. Like, I'm ordering my triple dipper and I'm trying to figure out if the bitch is gonna tip it over before I can get to it. No, but you just have to know that you have agency to choose the kind of relationship that you want to feed your energy into and the kind of relationship that you want to be a part of. If you don't want to be a part of a relationship that seems to be tit for tat or seems to be about, you know, one person having control over the other, or, you know what I'm saying? That should be your closure also, that awakening that I don't have to go through that. That is the closure. Like, the mind is important to this thing here. And it's not just about thinking differently, but it's actually putting yourself first. That if you do that, personally, I don't think that closure is a necessity, because at the end of the day, you're gonna feed and pour into you, and you are also going to continue to blossom in the relationships that you do have. That's another thing. Just because a relationship breaks down or a certain opportunity breaks down and you weren't able to get closure doesn't mean that all of your other relationships aren't worth your time and energy. You have other friends, you have other family, you have other opportunities. Just because one person falls flat doesn't mean that you a horrible friend, or you know what I'm saying, you don't know how to proceed with your other friendships because of this past friendship. Don't put what somebody else did onto somebody else. You get what I'm saying? Don't put the hurt that you have felt from a previous relationship or previous opportunity on the next. Let it go. That's them. That was y'all. But you're at a different place, hopefully, of boundary setting and a different place of agency to know that you can choose better. You can show up better. You don't have to bring that to the next, what? And then it just repeats that same cycle. Now you're going to need closure from this relation, or you're going to need answers from this person because you feel like they treating you funny. Or the way that y'all used to hang out, y'all don't no more. So now you need closure on the type of friendship or relationship that y'all used to have, so you can understand the type of friendship and relationship that y'all should have. No, That's another thing. You could be in a relationship with someone, a great friendship with someone, or great romantic relationship with someone, and just the way in which that y'all have been partnered is just not the same. And then now you thinking to yourself, well, I need answers, or I need closure as to why we don't do the same things that we used to do anymore. What? How about we got older? How about we got jobs? We got stuff to lose now. How about, I don't know, I've gone through grief since, or I've lost a job since. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know what people are going through. And so to say that you need closure to understand why somebody is now acting different, I think is a joke too. Sometimes people be funny acting. They do. I know I do. Okay, I'm funny acting, and it's not that I'm funny acting because I want to be funny to the person, right? But it's like I'm funny acting because it's just I be all over the place sometimes, and I can be really close to a certain someone, and then all of a sudden I need space, or all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, I'm not as communicative, and and it's like somebody else on the line like, why we not doing what we used to do, or you usually call me, and I need to know why you don't call me no more. I need to have closure on this. Apparently what? Girl, what about I'm going through something? How about that? Like, I'm actually going through something and I can't provide that to you right now. So that also doesn't mean I don't want to be friends, and I don't want to stay, right? And amicability, like, I still want to be cool. I just am at a different place right now. And I also don't think that deserves closure either. Like, let people grow and mature and change their mind and show up how they feel is most healthy and best for them. You don't get to control and decide how that looks like for you. And you also don't get to control how that ends. If it ends with betrayal, disappointment, or pain, you don't need someone else's permission to move on. They wronged you, or you felt wronged, so you decide to pick yourself back up and decide how you want to move forward and proceed. I don't understand what's so hard about that. Outside of, emotions being tied in the situation and you having a level of expectation of how this person should treat you, everybody feels betrayed at some point. Everybody feels disappointed from somebody at some point. So you're not special that you've been disappointed or betrayed. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to decide that you're going to burn up the world because somebody wronged you. Bitch, we all been wrong. Somebody done stole something from us. Somebody done lied to us. Somebody done what? You're not the only person that done been lied to, cheated on, abused, and stole from. It's very hurtful. It's very hurtful to acknowledge that. But once you acknowledge that you are not the only one, oh please, it don't take nothing to move on. Personally, when I know that I'm not the only one, oh please, I'm out of here. Like what? Like, especially when I really sit back and think like, no, this person really was trying me, or no, this wasn't the first time. And like, yeah, like when you really sit back and think, you don't need what you gonna say? Because we not be coming back close again. What? Who said that? No. And I just think we just have to stop expecting closure as this pretty fairy tale ending and this pretty bow that we're gonna put on top of some bullshit that it's just like, no, you were wrong, you were betrayed, or you betrayed somebody, you didn't feel like they were worthy or deserving of said thing, and you decided to do what you were gonna do. Now I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do, period. And that should be your closure. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this topic. I know I wasn't here too long, but I really just wanted to get that out. Yeah. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments, have you been a person that really required closure? And if you used to be and are not anymore, like, what changed you? I would love to know. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the Hey Friends with Layla Elise podcast on Apple and Spotify, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Okay, if you are not caught up on the episodes this far, what are you waiting for? Okay, we are halfway through season 3. I will be reviewing Real Housewives of Atlanta next week. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye, friend.